What's up, everybody? I just wanted to do a really quick video on Tommy Reynolds, talking about basically his release, and I'm going to speak with a man who did 5 years with Tommy Reynolds in Lewisburg Penitentiary. I'm not going to go into all the history of Tommy Reynolds because there's a lot of videos out there about that. What I do want to find out and know in this video is what type of person was Tommy Reynolds when he was locked up, and what does this person think Tommy Reynolds' future holds as far as will he stay out of prison, will he stay out of trouble? That's the type of things I want to find out. My friend Robert Rosso will be calling in from the Federal Correctional Complex, Butner, in Butner, North Carolina, and we'll hear what he has to say about Tommy Reynolds, about the time he spent with Tommy Reynolds when they were at Lewisburg, and what he thinks about Tommy Reynolds' chances of making it on the outside after being released. And we'll be listening to that right now.
It's from
Robert Rosso.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. To block this call, you may begin speaking now.
Hey, what's up, Rob? I just wanted to ask you about your friend Tommy Reynolds, man. You did some time with him, and I know you consider him a friend and talked about him a lot. Just tell me what you think, your opinion of him, what kind of guy, and is he going to be a guy who's going to succeed on the outside?
Oh, yeah. First of all, yeah, Tommy and I, so in full disclosure, I think it's been, well, when I actually talked about him and his co-defendant, I want to go, what is that, in 21? Actually, that was in 22. So I probably haven't talked to Tommy. I know it's been for sure over a year, probably a year and a half. So I want to get that clear. I have not talked to him since he's been out. As far as the type of guy Tommy is, since the day I've known Tommy, I did almost 5 years with him, by the way. I have seen very few people that were as if remorseful about their crimes as Tommy. He was involved in some murders, one of them which was totally accidental, involving a lady on Staten Island. I'm not getting into the details right now. You can do that however you want to do that. I will say that one has always haunted him, and I can't stress enough how much that's weighed on him over the years, and how much he's always wanted to come out and at some point in his life talk about it, apologize for it, whatever. There's been a lot of BS going on by one of his co-defendants about certain things that happened that wasn't true. But again, that's going to be for Tommy to talk about. What kind of a guy he is. We had some really, really good times. I mean, we had a lot of laughs. People have this idea of prison, people that don't understand or never been to prison. I say this a lot, and I mean it. The sound of laughter far outweighs the sound of blood-curdling screams. I know a lot of people might not like it, that people have a good time in prison. It's just what it is. When we knew each other, we both had life sentences. We made the best out of it, and a lot of good times, a lot of laughs. I can tell you one thing, and I've talked about it before, but Tommy was real, I guess you'd say OCD. Him and Joey Testa were too, but he used to have these little statues, little Jesus and Mary statues. I don't remember if he had the whole nativity scene, but he kept them on his locker, and he'd go out every morning like clockwork, from 8 to 9 or 8 to 10, whatever. He used to work out with one of my friends, Dusty, every morning, and I would go in there and I would always move the Jesus and Mary. I would just reverse them, and it used to just fuck with him so hard. He'd come back in so distraught, and he thought it was his cellie that was doing it, and his cellie was some Puerto Rican guy. I can't remember the guy's name now. Was it Chino, or I forgot the guy's name. But, because he'd have a little bit of a beef with the cellie sometimes, and he thought his cellie was doing it, but it was me.
Did he ever find out?
You know what? I don't even know if he ever has to this day. I don't know. Now he knows.
All right. That's a good one, man. That's really good. As far as like who he hung out with while he was doing his time, where were you at with him?
We were in Lewisburg together.
Y'all were in Lewisburg.
We were. That was very early in both of our bids. So I fell in '97. I believe. I think he went down in '97 then too. I think he got to Lewisburg. I know he got there about a year or two earlier than I did. He was an F block. There were not too many, so he would be considered Italian. And Lewisburg was weird because there was like whites and Italian were a little bit two different people, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but there were only Jesus. It was me, myself, Andy, a guy named Rob, and then you had Frankie Flash, who was Frankie DiPietro. That was an Italian guy. Tommy. Very, very few whites and Italians even combined. But we had, like I said, we had a lot of laughs, and it was really early on in our bid within the first 10 years. I do know that we used to make jokes about it. Tommy, I think he kind of had it set in his head that he was going to be able to do, decades, years, whatever, at Lewisburg. And I'd already been in, that was my second prison, and even though I was involved in the gang, we used to kind of like tell Tommy, look at, me and my friend Dusty, and when I say friend, we were actually members.
This call is from a federal prison.
Brothers, so we used to tell Tommy, like, there's days going to come where they're just going to gaffle you up, and you're going to end up in like Alaska or something, Right. It's Lewisburg is close to New York City. It was ideal. It was a great spot to do time back then. Lewisburg, like every prison in the United States, goes through changes. It goes from being really super tough, wild, whatever you want to say, to whatever. It was very soft when we were there. Mm-hmm. I wrote Dusty a letter when he was at Springfield, and I said that I'm literally in the softest prison in the United States, in the softest unit. Wow. I used to wear shower shoes in that unit, even though a lot of white guys didn't like that, but I did. And it was. But then in 2005, so I got there at the end of 2002, beginning of 3. In 2005, it flipped, and what had happened was they brought a lot of guys from California and a lot of members of the Mexican Mafia and Serenos, and that changed the yard. With them came a lot of drugs, and I'm not saying because of them, but with them came a lot of heroin. The yard changed, and a lot more violence started kicking up, and I, of course, left in January of 2007, and I came here where I'm at right now, which is the Federal Medical Center in Butler, North Carolina. I came here for cancer reasons. Right. And that was the last time I left. And I do remember the last time I saw Tommy, I remember just as clear as day. It was in the library the night before I left. As a matter of fact, no. We spent, Dusty, Tommy, and I spent a couple hours in the library. Us three were really close. I don't remember what the deal with Benny Giarratano. I think Benny was. There was an issue where where Benny was kind of on the outs with some of the Italian guys. I think Benny was either in the hole or at the other end of the unit. For whatever reason, it was just me, Tommy, and Dusty, and we spent a couple hours in the library saying goodbye. And then the next day, I was able to go run around. They were looking for me to leave, and I was running around the prison saying goodbyes and doing things I shouldn't have. Getting high, okay?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
I got you. So the guy had a solid name in prison, obviously. His name's good.
Listen, so absolutely. When Tommy and I were together, 100%. And I don't know anything that has changed otherwise.
Right.
People get into it and things happen, and somebody can say this about somebody. And I remember that I had Benny on the show, and I think Tommy and Benny had a slight falling out, but that was amends were made there.
Right.
I can tell you that. And but yes, otherwise, absolutely.
What do you think chances are and the hopes for the future of Tommy on the outside? Will he get back in trouble? And then after that, do you have just a message to him, like inspiration, anything like that?
Okay. As far as believing or thinking that Tommy's going to get into some kind of trouble, and I'm not just saying that because it's so easy or cliche to say, oh yeah, he's going to do fine because he was a friend of mine. But here's a guy who much like myself, has been given a second chance. He was more disciplined than at times I'm sure he battled with his demons. I wasn't with him in prison all the time, but he was definitely more disciplined than I. And I know he was really, really bummed out that I was fading like I was when I was on the outside. So as far as any kind of entering the criminal life, I absolutely 100% don't see it. We are the same age exactly. And I know that Tommy has his mom out there, who, by the way, is pretty hot. I don't know if anybody knows that. But for real, she is. And there's no way. I would absolutely be shocked. As far as a message, the only thing I really want to say, and I said this on my own podcast, is that I really look forward to talking to Tommy. Do your probation wisely. Probation, supervised release is easy if you're not doing nothing wrong. I mean, it depends, but it's really, in general, it is easy if you're not getting high, then it's over drinking or whatever. It's a walk in the park. I mean, you can walk it down, no problem. Of course, once you get on their radar, like anything else, and they're coming after you. So my advice to not only Tommy, but anyone on supervised release would be, no matter what your future plans are, to get that behind you and get that, away. I'm actually glad I'm done with paper. I have no regrets now about being in the situation I'm in, and on a personal level, I'm glad. I chose to come back here for a reason. I blew intentionally to come back to prison and get this over with. I'm glad. I wish nobody else could take the path that I did, but Tommy for sure. He's a hell of a guy. I've always hated the naysayers because of a certain issue or the things they wrote about him. He was called some pretty harsh names, and then he's got one of his former co-defendants who, has not even close to the Constitution that Tommy does, out there talking trash about him, but that'll go away. Especially now he's out. And I really do. I'm sure now he's starting to learn and understand YouTube, and I hope he takes advantage of it. And I think he might. And I said this before. I'm pretty sure that Chad Marks had something worked out with him over on Below the Razor Wire for the first interview. My advice for him is take it slow. Be calculated with it. Use the interview and the platform. Use it to further whatever agenda you have, instead of just kind of shooting from the hip. That would be some advice. And I look forward to talking to you soon, and that will be within 90 days for sure.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
That's awesome, man. Hey, glad to hear you're going to be getting out too, man, and can't wait to talk to you when you get out, and really appreciate it, Rob. Thank you, man, and good luck.
Okay, bud. Thank you.